Well, of course, it's another day, and that does mean there's another raft of Activision Blizzard news as, well, things are going to get tighter for Bobby Kotick. We'll get into it, right? So, state treasurers ask for a meeting. Yeah, according to a new report from Axios, a group of 6 state treasurers have asked for a meeting with Activision Blizzard's board about all of the recent bullshit. And for some color there, officials from California, Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Oregon issued a joint letter to Activision Blizzard last month, revealing that they would consider voting against the re-election of certain incumbent board members. And I believe that's like, because treasuries are like invested in the company.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, of course, we also saw the SOC investment group, who, they don't have a massive amount of shares, but we also saw them, of course, speak out as well. Now, these 6 treasurers manage about $1 trillion in assets across their various different pension and investment funds, but it is unclear just how much Activision Blizzard they have. Maybe it's a fair bit, though, and it certainly is more voices in the chorus. The state of Illinois actually holds active investment in Activision Blizzard and therefore has been impacted by the company's tumbling stock price. We don't know exactly how much, but of course, their stock has fallen. Now, Axios are pointing out that the treasurers going after a game company in this way is fairly new, but there is actually precedent for treasurers throwing their weight around. As an example, last year, New York announced plans to divest its pension fund from fossil fuels. I believe it's also like the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Norway. Also does sort of make some decisions, along similar lines, with how they deal with what and who they invest in. Now, Massachusetts recently confirmed plans to use investments to pressure companies to enact better climate policies. Now, on ActiBliz, specifically, the state treasurer said, "We think there needs to be sweeping changes made in the company. We're concerned that the current CEO and board of directors don't have the skill set nor conviction to institute these sweeping changes needed to transform the culture." Here's another quote from Massachusetts. And I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago that they said they stand by the CEO? So, just the recent conduct not looking good to these state treasurers.
Like going for the throat with those statements, like.
Yeah, they are really wanting these sweeping changes. There's another one, also not particularly impressed by this for the choice quote, but if you're continuing a culture that creates new victims in the future, you are creating more risk for your company. That's very much the hard bottom line of it. All this shit increases risk. That's bad for investors, bad for development, bad for long-term shareholder returns. The treasurers want a meeting by the 20th of December. So, there we go. More troubles for Bobby. But Yahoo Finance also went after Bobby.
This specific article was like, when I saw it, I was like, this feels completely unprecedented to me, that a CEO is being called out specifically for what impact is having on a company. I mean, obviously I've not been too into it, but it feels like one of the first times I've seen it in around gaming, at least.
Okay, around gaming, yes. It does happen quite a bit. As an example, Twitter. For the longest time, people have been saying, "Hey, we don't want a part-time CEO. Jack, leave. Give us a full-time CEO." Of course, Elliot invested. Elliot, is he called Peter Singer? Someone Singer? Basically known to be a fucking shark of an investor. But a part of them coming in, is Elliot Asset Management? Part of them coming in was actually starting talks in 2020 of how to basically get rid of Jack Dorsey, so that Twitter can have a full-time CEO instead of a part-time CEO. So that sort of thing does happen. I think this is just a case where the consensus is forming that Bobby's position isn't particularly tenable.
Yeah.
Here's Yahoo claiming the gaming giant can't reinvent itself if he's still in charge. Activision Blizzard risks losing the very people who make its games so successful, its developers, testers, and engineers. And that really is the big issue here. We have heard continually about turnover, especially in the wake of these new, issues. Not new issues, just them being, raised to the light. And on that, funny enough, Jessica Gonzalez has left Blizzard. She is, I believe, was she a senior test engineer or test engineer? Either way. She's, quit the company. And I think the reason why it's newsworthy is she was one of the more outspoken people, and she had spearheaded a bunch of, the walkouts and things like that. So she was involved in organizational capacity. Now, she has said that she has said that the sort of the organization efforts are still being taken care of, and she'll support those as well. So it's the sort of thing where, in a way, is it one employee leaving and that's that, not much of a story? You could also say that. Is it indicative of a larger problem at the company? Yes. And is it particularly symbolic because of the role that this employee had in the story? Also, yes. So that's basically the situation with her leaving the company. And perhaps with her no longer being at the company, we might find out more things. Who knows? But perhaps there'll be NDAs. Hard to say.
Yeah, it's fun to see that.
I doubt you'll keep her NDA'd up. I doubt they'd even try that.
No, I imagine not. But it's fun that, a lot of what the Yahoo Finance article was based on was Gonzalez's, anecdotes about people like sending loads of goodbye emails and stuff. And then she leaves after, like, oh, yeah, way to prove the point, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, all that chaos. Now, for the raw money, Call of Duty is fairly important. Won't be a surprise to anyone, but it is very important. So we've got a great thing here. Why didn't people buy Call of Duty this year? GI asks. Now, this is GameIndustry.biz. Now, this is a survey that spoke to 700 odd people. Now, if that 700 odd is the best representative slice of Call of Duty gamers you could possibly find, then maybe it would be fine. But, we would probably want a little bit larger than 700. So for the survey, look, there can be all forms of biases, right? Statistical biases that come into this. I mean, if you just sort of see, oh, the game's not doing that well, let's go and find out why. That's a very reasonable thing to do. But there's also a chance that, your polling will accidentally or, maybe have a methodological bias that will lean in a certain direction. But we still can learn things. So to get into this, was it just that nobody wants Call of Duty? Is Call of Duty boring? So they try to work this out. They teamed up with their friends at EGX and PAX to speak to an audience of hardcore gamers across the UK and US. Out of the 671 people, 284 said they had bought a Call of Duty game in the last 5 years, and out of those, just 59 bought Vanguard. So what put people off? Well, first, what's a hardcore gamer? What's up with the sample size? Etc., etc., etc. Could you maybe say that this could be a more extreme way to do the article? Or, maybe you could say that. But to get into their findings anyway, they allowed people to submit multiple answers as to why they didn't buy the new game. 55% were just too busy playing other games. It's a more competitive gaming landscape nowadays, right? 14% said they were happy playing Call of Duty Warzone. 24% had no interest in World War II themed games. And some respondents cited not really liking 2017's Call of Duty World War II. 34% said they'd grown tired of the franchise or needed a break. And certainly, if you're all Warzone, and then all of the early games, you're going to get tired eventually. And COD Mobile, of course. 20% were put off by reviews. Not the biggest amount. But I think that does make sense. Reviews are certainly useful. You definitely want them to be good. But a lot of what will be important for a game, as long as its reviews are good enough, is how well targeted it is to a market and how big that market is. And it does seem like this game maybe just had a bit of a smaller market. 11% said they were waiting for a different game. And within that group, 38% cited Halo Infinite, 25% Battlefield 2042. But, who knows how that's going to go with Battlefield. 6% blamed the goings-on at Activision Blizzard. I think that just goes, it goes to show how many people are happy enough to eat a Nestle chocolate bar. Because at the end of the day, it's just, hey, you want a chocolate bar, away you go, right? So, yeah, this is the sort of thing, right? This is not surprising, but the goings-on at Activision Blizzard will probably impact all of these things to a degree as well.
Yeah,
because they will decrease the quality of the game.
Yep.
4% said it was too expensive. 2% said the single player was poor. 2% blamed the download size. 3% felt the community was too toxic to bother.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think, honestly, if I was to call anything in this, I think it is they didn't have a solid enough World War II sell. And they didn't have the really great reviews to back it up. Maybe some franchise fatigue.
I think that's the thing that they need to be most careful about. And I think people need to be largely careful of this in general when you're working on games. Because what can you do within the Call of Duty franchise that's really interesting? You kind of can't do anything except a shooter. You look
Yeah.
at a more varied franchise, like, you know, how Marvel games are coming about. You know, they're working on an MMO. You've got Midnight Suns, which, you know, that's not what you would expect. Obviously, we can't really talk about Avengers, but, you know, like, the differences in Insomniac's games versus Midnight Suns. You're like, okay, well, this is actually a broad spectrum of games within an IP. And unless Call of Duty starts making tactical games, that's not going to happen. Which means they control this niche, but they're completely oversaturating with the same type of game. And there's such little reason, if you enjoy Warzone, to buy these. And I feel like that's like a core part of the strategy that they've just gotten wrong, and they haven't really got a way to fix that, at least not quickly.
Yeah.
Because all of their talent is, you know, literally all of Activision Blizzard, more or less, outside of Blizzard and King, of course, just funneled into the Call of Duty machine. So unless they actually start to diversify products, which they don't seem to want to, then I think they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot with this. And then combine, is the great Call of Duty plan failing? And then, Bobby has to go from everyone else. You're going to get this massive situation where, you know, all sort of bullishness on Activision Blizzard should realistically take a major hit. I mean, obviously you can kind of go, well, they're a big company, they'll claw their way back eventually, but I guess the question is, how long will that take?
Exactly. And I think, a decent amount of time. That said, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 2022, probably going to pick some people up.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to wait and see. So that's basically it. TLDR, not looking good for Activision Blizzard in the here and now, and perhaps getting more and more doubtful for the future. So that's basically where I think we got to leave it for today. Mm-hmm. Let us know, though, what's your Vanguard experience been? I'd like to know, if you were asked some of these questions, what would you say? So do let us know. With that, then, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.